Well, welcome to everyone to day 5 of the summit, Many Countries, One Language, Business. I'd like to introduce today, and we are featuring our North American team. On Monday, we talked mostly about the station. We did this, and we had from the North American team, Ellen McElhaney, Wendy Dickinson, Aaron Lee, Charles Bryant, and Scott Geller. Well, now I am really happy to have the remainder of the great talent that we have on Fridays from our North American markets, okay? And so with me this afternoon, I have Charles George from Publish to Thrive. I have RJ Lewis from Planning Out Loud. I have Tracy Lashley from Team Up and Thrive. I have Cash Rashid from Money Matters with Cash the Bookkeeper. I have Cedric LaFleur, Talk Leadership, and I welcome everybody to the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for having us, and we're excited to be here.
Definitely. Okay, well, and so let me just say one more thing, and then RJ, you have it. Although we've been on the air since late March when we first tested this, we scheduled our hard launch, our declaration to the world that we are open for business until the start of season 3, which is this week. So we've been doing a lot of soft launches, testing out the system. And over that period, what has happened is incredible. We've done very little marketing, and currently, as of today, we are now heard in 134 countries as we onboarded Cambodia. And so right now we represent 2/3 of the world, business owners and entrepreneurs, 2/3 of the world are tuning into IBGR, and we haven't even said anything to anybody until this week. Okay, so with that, I'd like to turn this over to our anchor, and she is on Tuesday. She is the core and the block of our operations segment, and that's RJ Lewis. RJ, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Bill. And hi, Jan and Ajay. How are you guys doing today? I am RJ Lewis. That actually is short for Ragna J. Lewis, but you can call me RJ. Don't freak out. So my business is RJ Lewis Digital. And for more than a decade, I've helped companies of all shapes and sizes design and optimize customer experience and product delivery systems, technology stacks, marketing playbooks, knowledge management, collaborative spaces, and processes, which pretty much means I was a web developer with a little something. So my specialty is helping entrepreneurs understand and implement operational functionality that will grow their businesses. And I just started a new program called Boss AF, and it sounds sassy, but it's really not, because what it stands for is the Business Operating System Strategy Alignment Framework. Yeah, so Boss AF, new program. I literally just launched it, and I love it. I also, since August or so, have been hosting the Planning Out Loud radio show here on IBGR Network, and loving all of that. It's a show to help businesses in growth stage 1. And it's interesting because when we first started the show, it was like, it's going to be about growth stage 1 and helping people go from a dream to a plan. And what I love about that is that one of my favorite quotes ever is that a goal is a dream with a date on it. So in my mind, Planning Out Loud is taking that further, that next step, and saying that we're going to help you set smarter goals by taking that dream and putting it into an action plan. And that is a lot of what I did last season. That is definitely what you're going to see coming up for season 3 with the Planning Out Loud radio show. If you would like to get in touch with me or keep in touch with me, definitely be looking at IBGR.network. That's IBGR.network, and join the community of commerce. You're going to go to the join link and actually hit community. And what that is, it's kind of like our own personal chamber of commerce. You can talk to on-air personalities such as myself, and everyone else here, just to definitely be looking at IBGR just to get everything done. We've also got an ebook coming out, and you can download that here. Is that available to download today, guys?
It is available today to download.
Ooh, all right. So IBGR.network, and download that ebook. It will not hurt you. In fact, it will do nothing but help you get from that dream to that action plan.
Where's the ebook? Where do they go to get the ebook?
They've got
That
to go
is a
to the
good
Community
question.
Commerce.
Community of Commerce. There you go.
There you go. Oh, and also in the Community of Commerce, you can watch all of the live shows, the recordings of them. So definitely, Community of Commerce is where you want to be.
Oh, I got to minimize my screen here. Okay, so Cedric, let's talk a little bit about what you got going on.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Bill and Donna, for having me on today. I'm excited to be here with you. You know, I am Cedric LaFleur. I am the host of Talk Leadership with Cedric. You know, everybody needs a little TLC. And I am here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central. Whatever you're doing, stop and just drop and roll to IBGR.network. And you're going to get some business principles. We talk about business concepts. We talk about business ideas. And every week, we're going to give you what we call our show notes. And on our show notes, this is not just, you know, somebody putting together 2 or 3 lines. This is things that you can actually use in your business, whether that is when you're setting up your business, talking about your finances in your business, whether that is mentoring and coaching your employees. On those show notes, you're going to get a lot of nuggets. See, on the screen right now, you have 6 people. But if you add up the number of years of experience that every person brings to the table, see, if you had to pay for that, you probably couldn't afford it. We come here at IBGR.network to help small entrepreneurs get the things that major organizations have. And we bring it to you every day, all day, twice on Sunday. And let me tell you, if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to impact your team, then you need to be tuning in. And on Talk Leadership with Cedric, that's what we're going to do. Yesterday, in fact, we did a lesson on how to connect with millennials. And let me tell you what, if you want your business to be around for the next 100 years, you need to understand how to connect with millennials. See, let me tell you why. One, they make up 50% of the workforce today. The data says by 2025, they will make up over 75% of the workforce. They are the largest generation. The baby boomers were the largest, but now it's the millennials. And you need to understand how and why to connect with millennials. So at IBGR, just like RJ said, go to the Community of Commerce. We want you to connect with us so that you can get the things, the tools, and the tips that you need. And every day, just tune in. If you can't tune in, have one of your team members tune in. And I guarantee you, when you're done with any show, you're going to leave with things that you can use. So, Bill, I know you didn't want all of that, but when I bring it all.
I know you do, Cedric. That's why you're on. You do bring it all. Okay, well, thanks. And let me go to Dr. Tracy. Let's talk about your show and what you got going on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley, and I educate leaders on techniques to harmonize their life as well as developing dynamic and productive teams. I bet you didn't know that the greatest distance in the world is only 14 inches. Why do I say that? It's from the heart to the mind. It's the most difficult thing to manage and to balance. And my show focuses on heartfelt leadership, building dynamic teams. One of the things as leaders and sometimes as business owners, we forget that it takes a tribe. It takes a community. And that's what you have here. You have a community of people working together to help grow your business. And guess what? Not only that, you just heard about community commerce. You can actually help others too by coming in and saying things and, just adding to the value that we're already providing to you guys. And so with Team Up and Thrive, the reason that I called it that name, because I love teams, as I just stated, and I want everyone to thrive. So I practice a thing called heartfelt mindset, and it's a Thrive model. And with this, you'll learn about thoughts, heart feeling, relationships, being intentional, vitality, and enrichment. In every show, I bring a little bit of that to you. I tell you how you can thrive in that way with using that model. So I talk a lot about goals, about knowing your why, focusing on your people, of course, because I'm in the people lane. And
oh, we have a stop. Oh no.
She dropped the mic. She says she in the people
That's
lane.
a drop mic. All right, mic drop. All right, let me say this until she comes back on. I had the opportunity to be here studio engineer yesterday, and she reminded me, I was a kid, I grew up in New York, of Allison Steele, one of the pioneers of women DJs, and she had the kind of the same smooth, smoky voice. And I was going, I want to listen to Tracy. She's got that voice that I want to listen to. So let's see what happens when she comes back in. But let's move on. Cash, let's talk about your story.
Oh boy. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Bill, for constantly allowing me to come on live without any censorships. I really appreciate that. My name is Cash, better known as Cash, the bookkeeper, and I am the money lady, but I'm the fun money lady. I take something that generally a lot of small business owners know is super important, but think is kind of boring, and make it fun and make it relatable so that you can put the energies and efforts back into it in a positive way. And what I'm talking about is accounting. It's one of the driest subjects. Most small business owners actually complain that it is the worst part of owning a business, which makes me super sad. So I'm here to correct that. I'm here to fix that and bridge the gap between their knowledge, abilities, skills, and habits. And I have a fan here. Kim is here. Hi, Kim. And she actually is a great example of someone who kind of didn't like accounting so much and actually now is looking forward to doing her books and records and figuring out all of that stuff. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here and to share my passion of accounting with everyone. On my show, Money Matters, which is on Mondays at noon, we are actually going to have an entire accounting show with no numbers. Yeah, I know. No numbers at all. It's going to only be conceptual, and it's going to be really not frightening. Ultimately, it's going to provide, hopefully, our listeners with a safe space to come in and learn the basics of accounting. So that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, and I have to say that when people in this local area, and we're in the Richmond, some of us are in the Richmond, Virginia area, heard that Cash was on, she's somewhat of a local hero when it comes to bookkeeping, if you can believe that. So we thought that we would take that to the world, and she's doing a great job of it. So I look forward to accounting with no numbers. That sounds incredible.
No numbers, I promise. No numbers.
Okay. And I was going to say, Dr. Tracy, when you dropped off, I don't know if you heard this, but one of the comments I made is that I was your studio engineer yesterday, and you reminded me of Allison Steele, the Nightbird, one of the premier on-air voices and premier women, one of the pioneers. And you sounded so great. Anybody that listens to you is going to want to listen to you, just to listen to your voice.
I had to look her up because I'm like, who is this woman?
Yeah, I know. I sent you the link.
I was like, okay. I did listen to her show. I'm like, oh, I do. Okay.
You do. Anyway.
I like her.
And I'm glad we got the camera work back in. Camera back working. All right, I'm going to slow my brain down. All right, so now part of the executive team here, and she has her own show, is Donna Cundy. And Donna, you just got off the air, so this is anybody who's been listening knows that they're getting 2 hours of you now, maybe 3, who knows. So talk a little bit about your show and what you're doing.
Thanks, Bill. I'm doing everything, just about here. But on the station is Fridays in our entrepreneurship track. Have you talked about yet the way we're structuring our week?
No, haven't said nothing.
Good.
I wanted to get right into it.
Yeah. So the way that our week is structured at the station, there is structure, and it makes it easy for you to want to listen into. There is a formula, and it doesn't have numbers, Cash. It's a formula with letters, and it says F equals, and then there's an open parentheses, O plus C plus P plus I'm sorry, close parentheses, and then an E on the outside of that. And what it means is that for the healthy finances that Cash is talking about on Mondays, we need to have operational excellence that RJ talks about on Tuesdays. We need to have attention with getting new customers and retaining customers and providing service, which is our Wednesday shows. And then you have to have great people performance, which is Cedric and Dr. Tracy on Thursdays. And that leads up to my show on Fridays, which is about that entrepreneurial mindset, if you will. If the entrepreneur is working in the business every day of the week, they're not actually growing the business in the way that they could to scale it. And so my show, Loving the Journey, is about the focus on strategy, specifically for startups, where you are going from, I have an idea, I have a dream, I'm putting together a product or service, now what do I do with it? And we're going to go through the 13 weeks to take you from that idea into launching into the world, like we're doing this week at this station. Now, you might not be able to do that in 13 weeks, but the overarching theme is, how do I go from here to there? And today's show that I did is, hello world, I'm ready to launch. And we did the overview today of what that looks like and each step along the way. And that's at 1 p.m. Eastern time on IBGR.network. And you hear my voice some other times there, but our calendar on IBGR.network, it shows all of our on-air talent. You get to see their beautiful faces. You get to see their show names. You get to see the episode that's going on, and you can put it right on your calendar, so you will easily be reminded to listen in to any or all of our on-air talent.
Okay, well, thank you, Donna. I guess the only thing I'll say is I've got a couple of shows, but really I'm doing more shows related to what we need to do here. My major show is Living on Your Terms, and that is, or Living the Life, and that's a Friday show. In fact, we are stepping on it right now. And what I'm talking about is, I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my 5th business. I've had 2 very successful businesses, both of them multi-million-dollar firms. I had one that was so bad that it almost took all that money back. And so I have been on both sides of this. And one of the things that got us started, this concept of the radio station, is really 20 years old. And that is, after my last one almost wiped us out financially, why did I fail? And I found that one of the dangers as an entrepreneur is that if you're successful in your first couple attempts, that's bad, because you get this hubris of, I'm brilliant, I'm smart, and I can make no decisions. Well, guess what? It's coming. It's coming, and it has come. And so it put me on the quest of, well, why can some companies grow and others can't? And all of our programming comes from a library of best practices that we have, and that everybody that's on, they talk about their own thing, and they're doing what they're delivering to clients. But all of it is around this idea that there's a set of best practices of how you can go from small to large without having to get outside financing, basically doing it from sales. Now, how big? Up to you. That's not our decision. It's your decision. But I can tell you that if you said, oh, I want to be $1 billion, there is a path to it. And that takes up all of the programming that we do every week, because we talk about it from the different aspects. As Donna said, our math formula is very simple. If you want to be successful financially, you want high profits, that's an effect, not a cause. You cannot do it directly. You have to get your operations right. You have to get your marketing, sales, and service right, customers right. You have to get your people right. And then the secret sauce, the mystery, is that's those things you add together. It is the power of the owner, the entrepreneur, and their leadership and their business acumen that is the multiplier. And so whatever number you get there, you multiply it by how good you are as the owner, and that's going to lead to financial performance. And that's the way we break it up. Monday's finance, Tuesday's operations, Wednesday is customers, Thursday is people. And then on Friday, What we do on Friday is, instead of talking to the owner tactically, we talk to you strategically. Instead of talking to you about working in the business and working in the present, we talk about working in the future and working on the business. And so that's really where we're going with that. So what I'd like to do now, because we're in great shape time-wise, is I'd like to get a couple of success stories. What is probably, when you think about the clients that you have worked with up till now, because one of the questions I am going to ask also is, when people listen to your show, what can they expect? Let's start that with a success story. Work that you've done for somebody that has really made a difference. And I'll start that as you're thinking about it. And that is the last place I've done 2 turnarounds here in the last 5 years. The last one was a radio station, in fact, kind of led to this. But if I go back, I took a manufacturing firm that was unprofitable at $6.5 million with about 90 employees. And first thing we did is we got them profitable, because what we didn't do is we didn't do what most small businesses would do. And that is, we're not profitable, let's go get more money. Well, if that's the case, you have a cost problem, not a profit problem. And so every business that goes after increasing sales to get out of trouble, stay in trouble, because your problem is you're not running efficiently. Why don't we say to ourselves, let's be profitable at $6.5 million? And that's the first thing that we did. Then what happened is we helped them begin to market and get on an earn rate to $10 million. So you can do the math without doing the numbers. If they went from being unprofitable to profitable at $6.5 million with 90 employees, and then they're on an earn rate of 10 million, and the earn rate means over 12 months, they're now at 10 million rather than 6.5. That's $3.5 million that they've added on top of the profitability they already had, and they haven't added any employees. And how did we do that? The library of best practices that we are using here for our program on the radio station is what we did. So who would like to talk about a success story that they have with one of their clients?
I'm going to go next. I'm going to just jump right in there, and I'm going to tie it into today's theme of Fearless Again, Own Your Dreams. That is the title of today's summit. And for me, I'm a business coach. I can't talk about names and specifics because I have that promise to my clients, but I can tell you the success stories that I have over and over again are the ones that actually are doing the work. I was on a call just this morning with a client, and he was telling me, I'm having this, I'm moving forward and I'm making these decisions, and it just seems so natural. And it's, yes, they seem so natural because you've done the work. You're doing the work to get to that next stage. And for me, as a coach, it is about owning that dream and doing the work. So while it's not as specific as yours, Bill, I can tell you that every success story that I have is part of what weaves in and through my show of loving the journey, that we learn and we grow and we move on into the life that we want to create. So it doesn't answer your question, but it does answer your question, and that's how I'm going with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll jump in here, Bill. One segment of my business is to contract with school districts to help low performing or underperforming students, and to help specifically in low performing and underperforming schools within a district. And the great success story I always love is when we get students at the beginning of the school year and they're resistant about coming to the course, and midway through the year, they ask, can they come more times per week? Mm. And I have a lot of those stories, a lot of those testimonials that we get from students and from teachers. And so it's the impact on our next generation that's making a big difference. And that's one that I'd like to share with you. But along with that, I think that there are, and I won't share all 10 of them, but there are 10 things that I consider to be the pathways to success in my business and with any business. And but I'll share the first 5 with you. And they're really, the first one is just be persistent. right? You have to have a burning desire to win. And to do it over and over again, even when in those difficult times. The second one is you have to be decisive. We know that successful leaders make decisions quickly. They don't spend a whole lot of time agonizing over if they're going to do it or not. They make a decision and then they move with it. The third one is you have to be faithful. You see, you got to act on faith, even when you don't have the evidence that you should act. The fourth one is you have to be creative. We understand that leaders who are creative and help bring innovation into their organization, they're going to be here for the long haul. And then the last one is be positive. That is being able to, Ralph Waldo Emerson says it this way. He says, shallow people believe in luck. Strong and wise people believe in cause and effect. So being positive is you go and cause the effect that you want.
And that is the story.
Yeah, be the cause. I love that one.
Yeah, and that's the story of being an entrepreneur, because most entrepreneurs believe that. They believe that they are the cause, and therefore they get the effect, rather than
instead of the ones that are saying I can't do it because
right.
I can't do it because be the cause. That's awesome, Cedric.
I can go. I'd love to.
Please do.
Okay, so something I thought about, or that I've been thinking about, especially listening to you guys talk, is a lot of people, when they work with me, they think, oh, she's a recovering web developer. So obviously the thing that is going to pop up first is going to be, like this complicated technical thing, and it's going to give you a headache. And one of the first things that I tell people is that you're going to have to look at 3 things to know what's broken and where to fix it. That's going to be your platforms, your processes, or your people. So I really love those smaller success stories that come when you start really digging into people's platforms and processes and people and saying, okay, well, for example, I had a client. She was spending money on a point of sale solution. And literally, for those of you that might not know, point of sale means that she's actively having people swipe their cards and do different things to get her service-based business going. And one of the things that I really loved was going through and looking for those inefficiencies and saying, wait a minute, how much money are you spending end over end for these transactions? And being able to find a solution that actually saved her something like $5,000 a month. So that's literally putting $5,000 back into her bottom line that she can spend elsewhere and that she can use to rejuvenate and, increase things. Another thing that I love is same kind of solution. I guess really when you get down to it, I like either teamwork or helping people get paid. So another thing that I looked at was another client had an office staff, and the process wasn't necessarily broken, but there was no enforcement. It was a people problem. They've been trained, but they're not doing what they've been trained to do. And so us having that conversation and really taking a look at things empowered her to go have that come to Jesus with the staff and go, okay, look, we've got a process. I need everybody to be checking and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And just watching her demeanor from one week to the next just be much more smoother. She's like, no, things are going much more smoothly than they were just from having that conversation. And yeah, so I like the small stories.
Well, that's the small stories is where the game is at, because it's an accumulation of all those small stories that really make a difference in a business. Mm-hmm. Cash, would you like to take one here, or would you like Tracy? Would you like to take it?
I can take it.
Okay. Go with it.
I like the statement that talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships. I remember a client where I started working with her about a couple years ago, and I had a discussion with her, and we started with her leadership staff. So as we were going through the motions, she uncovered a lot of things that were need improvement for her staff. So she was like, well, I want you to come work with my team. So I'm like, okay, cool, because I love teams. But it starts with leadership. So we ended up having a workshop for her team, And inside of that discussion with them, a lot of stuff was uncovered. So she came to realize that, wait, I need you to come back more often, which is a good thing. But the more I work with her, the more her team becomes more like a family. And I love that whole thing about family. And she actually is starting to get her life back, her personal life back, because of what I've been able to accomplish inside of her corporation. And she gets to expand. So now she is not just focusing on her dream, she's focusing on her team. And that's a win for me.
That is a win. That's a great win. And I like your opening quote. I think that's quite true. You can win games, but not championships with individual activity. And that's certainly true for the small business owner or the smaller.
Yes.
I hate using small business because that minimizes us. For the companies that are smaller, you cannot afford to have people who are not performing at some reasonably good level because you just don't have enough people. And so you can get a multiplier by getting teamwork out of that rather than individuals. All right. So Cash, what do you have?
I have been listening to all the stories, and they're all so awesome. I'm reminded of, there's this really great scene in Titanic. You guys remember Titanic, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah. All the ladies are like, oh yeah, Cash, we remember.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So there's a scene in the Titanic where he gets to where Jack, Leonardo DiCaprio, comes to dinner with all the fancy people that that Kate is a part of, right? Like her whole circle. And they're kind of like questioning him, and they're like, oh, you don't have a job. you don't have a plan, you don't have any money. And his response was just so epic. It was, well, no, I don't, and I love living like that. Yesterday, I was underneath a bridge looking up at the stars, and I won a hand at a poker table, and here I am having this fancy, amazing dinner and champagne with all you fine people. And so I very much feel like Jack right now, sitting at this amazing and grand table of talent. So sorry to kind of veer off, but that's how I feel, and that's how I want my clients to feel when they're talking about their business and when they are sitting at any table. I want them to feel completely confident that they can handle any kind of conversation that comes at them, just like Jack did, and for them to always sit at a table where they're like a little surprised that they're sitting there, because that means that they're growing. If you're sitting at a table with all the same types and it's always the same game, well, then you're never going to be able to grow out of that. So most of my success stories for my clients are them actually having confidence to sit at those big tables and know that they should be there, that they can be there, that they can have conversations with multimillionaires and carry conversations, and take vacations as well. That is one of my major things. As soon as a new client comes on, one of the major questions, when was the last time you took vacation? Because I think we get really lost owning businesses. We just somehow through the process decide that we are our small business and our small business is us. And one of my strengths is to come in and say, oh no, your small business is not you. you have a shelf life. You get to relax. You get to do other things than just be in your business. And so whenever a client says, hey, Cash, don't talk to me because I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, I jot that down because that's the win for me. So
awesome.
Hey, Bill's still on mute.
Yes. Bill, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Bill.
Bill is on mute. So let's keep going here because he's got some. What are you saying,
No,
Bill?
go ahead, Don. I muted it to keep the background noise out. What I was going to say is that it's obvious why you would want to listen to all the people that are on. except maybe perhaps. So what I'd like to do is go around to everybody and say, let's talk about the power of your show. What is it that you're really bringing? So, for example, RJ, when I listen to you, and I'm not talking about just one show, I'm talking about the entire season. What's going to happen to my business because of you?
Well, hopefully you build the heart of your business over time while we have these intimate conversations on Tuesdays at noon Eastern time. And what I mean by the heart of your business, because Bill, you and I, we've had that conversation about how operations is the backbone. And I got to thinking about it. It's not. Operations is the heart. That is where the money comes in. That is where the engagement really happens. That is the power behind the throne, if you will. You know, you get the chance to stand up as a person, as a team, as a group in your business, because you have these systems that are in the background just quietly running. Hopefully you have these systems in the background. So my goal with Planning Out Loud is to truly plan out loud the concept of going from, I am not sure how I get paid, to, oh yeah, I got e-commerce. That's all taken care of. I have a CRM that is reminding me when I need to be getting in touch with people. I'm not leaving money on the table because my new people that I tried to bring on, I didn't have time to train them, you know? So yeah.
Okay. All right. So Dr. Tracy.
Of course, I think that the people lane is the best lane to be in. You know, that's the heart.
That's coming back again. We were on that. I forget which one that was, but that was the running joke. Is everybody thought that their lane was the one? And I'm telling you,
AJ and I are right.
By the way, Friday is the lane.
I am a strong believer in the law of significance, that one is too small a number to achieve greatness. So teamwork is at the heart of great achievement. You cannot do anything of value alone, you know, and leaders will learn how to maximize potential and minimize his or her weaknesses with the team. You'll also learn things about, you know, how you hold yourself accountable and hold your people accountable also during my shows. And when I talk about the heart, you know, heartfelt mindsets are actively engaged and involved in contributions, you know, and they focus on internal and external thriving. You know, I'm all about teaming up and thriving. So, and thoughts and feelings are connected for success. That's that mind-heart connection for peak performance, teamwork and synergy, customer service and relationships, communication and resilience. That's what you'll get from me.
Okay.
I love it. Bill, I just want to throw in here real quick that a lot of us are watching you on Facebook. Not you, Bill, but the people that are watching on Facebook. I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. If anybody wants to jump in the conversation or ask a specific question, either about one of our on-air talent here or their shows or what is on the station, we're all watching it down here. Not all of us, many of us are watching it on Facebook, and we'll be here to answer those questions too. So just go ahead and throw some comments in there and we'll get those questions answered too. Thanks, Bill.
So, Sir Cedric.
Yeah, so, you know, talk leadership with Cedric, and I tell you, everybody needs a little TLC. See, here's what I say. I don't know that the people lane is the best lane. I don't know that operations is the best lane or finance is the best lane. I just know this. You can't operate your business without people. You can't operate. Your business has to run. You have to have some type of operational procedures and policies in place. You need to understand your finances, right? So every lane is important, right? When we talk about team, that's your team, is all those different lanes, right? But I will tell you this, that Thursdays at 4 p.m. Central Time, that's when you should be tuned in. And, you know, everything else is optional. So I did my teamwork first part, right? I mean, I did my teamwork part first, right? Okay, so when you listen to Talk Leadership with Cedric, as I said yesterday, I talked about how to connect with millennials. when you come into our show, we're going to be talking to you about the mindset of a leader and helping you understand how to be a better influencer, how to impact your people and get the most out of them. Every leader has to be a person that not motivates someone, because you can't motivate people. You can only inspire people and encourage them. They have to motivate themselves. So my job is to help you be a better influencer, and you influence people by inspiring them and knowing that you can't do it alone. Tracy said it right, the law of significance. You can't do it alone. So when you come to talk leadership with Cedric, you're going to get a couple of things. One, you're going to learn how to influence people. And I want you to answer this question. Think about this. Who do you influence today? Are you influencing leaders or followers? Are you influencing thinkers or doers? Big picture people or little picture people? Turkeys or eagles? Givers or takers? You see, are 8s and 9s coming into your business and 1s and 2s leaving? Or are 1s and 2s coming into your business and 8s and 9s are leaving? You see, you need those 8s and 9s to come into your business to run it profitably, efficiently, effectively, and all of those things. And when you come to talk leadership with Cedric, that's what you're going to get. And I'll leave you with this. The only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is extra. Now, I know all the intellectuals will say the word is extraordinary. I know that, but I don't like that word. I like extraordinary. The only difference between winning and losing is belief. The only difference between hot water and boiling water is 1 degree. You see, at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. With boiling water comes steam. With steam, you can power a train. The only difference between a business reaching its full potential and not reaching its full potential is desire. Now, when you're ready for that little extra and to put that extra in your life and in your business, then Thursdays at 4 p.m. Central, you need to be tuned in to Talk Leadership with Cedric.
If anybody needs any additional information on why you want to listen to Cedric, I don't know what to say.
Hey, we're going to bring it every day.
You do.
Every time. I love
I'm
listening
in
to
for the
Cedric.
sermon. Definitely.
I listen to most of them, so yeah.
So Cash, the same question to you. I'm listening to your show, and so what's going to happen? How are you going to transform my business because I listen to you on a consistent basis?
Sure. All right. So everyone's gotten a quote in except for me. My time to shine. Okay. One of my favorite quotes, it is by some dude named Warren Buffett. I don't really know too much about this guy, but he seems cool. Like, he seems all right. He seems all right. And so what he said was that accounting is the language of business. So it's the language of what we're doing. People, very important. Operations, incredibly important. Leadership, incredibly important. Okay. We have like multiple hearts going right now. All right. And y'all can take the hearts, because your accounting department, now that's the brains of your business.
14 inches.
That keeps everything else going. That keeps the heart pumping. That keeps the people coming in. That keeps the clients coming in. And any type of problem that you're going to have in your business, you're going to be able to find your solution in your accounting reports. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that it is a language. And a lot of people don't know the language. I only know English and like this much Spanglish to get into a baño. That's about it. And this is how a lot of business owners kind of start their small businesses. They start with their passion. They start with their heart. And they're like, we'll get to the logic during tax time. And they leave a lot of stuff on the table. So what you're going to get when you listen to Money Matters Mondays at noon is you're going to get that foundational basics of accounting so that you can read your reports and you can leverage your reports as you move forward. And then as you listen to the rest of Monday, you'll get more and more tips as you kind of grow your business. So that's what you can expect.
Awesome.
With no numbers.
And Cash, I will tell you this. I love your lane because if I'm not getting paid, I'm not showing up.
Exactly.
There you go.
And neither were the people.
Money matters, okay? It matters at the end.
It does. Because I see that a lot in that with the startups is they just have expensive hobbies, and you'll hear that that theme throughout my show. And how do you know if you're running an expensive hobby or a real business without knowing that where the cash is going?
Right.
Not
Yep,
you cash,
another
but
cash
you know,
flow.
the cash with a C.
The other kind. Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
Well, we need to know where you're going too. You're at what, noon Eastern time on Mondays. That's where cash is. That's where cash is.
Yeah. And what was
Very
that
entertaining too.
What was the guy's name you mentioned? Was Warren something?
Warren something. I think
Yeah,
he's
that
Google.
dude.
He had something. I think Angela Cheney said he's in Omaha, Nebraska. Isn't that the guy that's in Omaha, Nebraska, right where Pixel Fire Marketing is? So we might have an into
A
him.
lot of millennials too, Cedric.
Well,
you might want to,
yeah,
connect. That might be a good connection.
We'll take a field trip out to Angela's place, and
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Bill, you've lost control. Sorry.
I was never in control.
We're officially off the rails then.
So Donna,
But this is really, I think, what I want to impart too. You might be hearing International Business Growth Radio Network and be like, but you see the personalities that are coming out right here, and they come out on the shows too. So we try to make it, I don't want to say edutaining because isn't that cliche? Isn't that clammy? but everyone has a personality. You heard Cedric preaching. You heard Cash going out all real, and everybody's got their personality. You hear me, I laugh a lot on my show because I'm just enjoying the journey. But everybody has their own personality. Bill, though, anytime you listen to Bill, it's going to be very scientific and very
very boring. I know. You want to say it, Donna.
We will not be beating up on my favorite nerd friend. Bill and I nerded out. That is the awesome.
And we added another.
Yes.
From Delhi, India. So we're ready to go.
Exactly. Translating all the nerdery into English. Boom.
There you go. And when you join us in the community of commerce
Yes.
on IBGR, we just keep this is what you get. We're very, very open, very authentic, very real. At least I think that's how we're showing up. I keep showing up gray, and sometimes I have color. I promise you I'm not dying that I know of. If that's the color that you're getting here. But business can be fun. It doesn't have to always be serious. There is seriousness to it, but on our station, you get all of it. You get the strategies and you get the personalities, and we got it all for you at IBGR.network. Can I give a quote? I don't think I gave a quote.
Give a quote. You got to give a quote.
My favorite quote of all time that was the one that started me on my most recent entrepreneurial journey. Many of you knew that I had been very sick for very many years, and as I started pouring into my own self and down that personal development and personal growth journey, there's a quote by James Allen, and it says this. It says, men, and we can substitute business owners, entrepreneurs, are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. And I'll say that one more time. Entrepreneurs are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. So there is an open invitation to anyone who is hearing my voice. Free yourself by coming to the IBGR network. Pour into yourself, improve yourself by learning the strategies, learning the pitfalls, the common failure points, connecting with our on-air talent, both listening to their shows and behind the scenes in the community of commerce, where we can have some more fun while we're growing the businesses. And that's my quote there, Bill. Back to you.
Back to me, my quote. Okay. God, I really don't have. I really don't have a quote. You guys got me. I really don't have a quote.
No, Bill, you do have an amazing quote. That one about the entrepreneurs take the risks.
Yeah, and yeah. So, and basically, we take the risk for everybody else. If you look at the statistics around the world, there's 5% of the world's population are business owners and entrepreneurs. So, of the 7.5 billion, and I have it written down here because I actually did the math, 375 million of us around the world employ 57% of the planet, or basically of the 7.5 billion people on the planet Earth, 3.3 billion are working. People like us that are on the air right now employ 1.9 billion people. In other words, we are the most significant community, I think, in the world. And a lot of people agree with that. However, I don't, because if 57% of the people out there have jobs, they're taking money home, they can put a roof over their family's head, they can put food on the table, they can send their kids to school, they can have hopes and dreams for a better life. I think we do pretty good work. Just me.
Do that quote though, the one that you have on your website about risking failure for the rest of us. Entrepreneurs are the risk taker. I don't know. I'm like, what is it, Yogi Berra that never gets a quote right? That's me, and you'll hear that on my show all the time. I had to write my quote down. You know which one I'm talking about, Bill.
Yeah, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up here as you're asking.
While we wait on him, I want to say something real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
We're talking about personal growth and development. And yeah, we're pouring out to you guys, but guess what? We're learning from each other also. I listen to the shows. I take notes. I've been watching, the lives all week and jotting down notes. Everybody's spitting out so many nuggets. So even though I joke about, people lane being the best lane or whatever, I listen to everyone because I need all of them. Every last one of you. So don't think that we're just a bunch of know-it-alls who are trying to give you knowledge. No, we learn and grow daily with you guys. So it truly is a community.
It is. Every day I'm learning because either Donna or I are the studio engineers at the moment listening to the shows to make sure technically everything's working. And
because it's internet going over a computer with live radio, what could go wrong?
Yeah, well,
absolutely nothing, right?
Well, here's the quote. This is off my personal webpage because I used to call myself the unconsultant because I don't particularly care for consultants, even though that's my industry. And that is, entrepreneurs are the heroes of our society because they put their soul into the game and they risk failure for the rest of us.
That's it. That's the one. I love that quote. It's so true. Ralph Peterson. No, is that his name? Ralph. Yeah. Ralph is coming on next, and he had said that entrepreneurs are the backbone of the world's economies. I think that kind of fits into it too. Yeah, I might have stolen his thunder, but don't tell him.
Well, and if you think about it, is just kind of closing note as we bring on our next shift, I guess I would say, is that large corporations over the last 20 years have not really expanded or contracted based on the economy in terms of hiring. What they've been doing is when times are good, they outsource to smaller businesses. When times are bad, they just cut out the outsourcing. So jobs are really not created by large corporations anymore. If you look at the American economy from the end of 2016 to the beginning of 2020, before COVID, 90% of all the new jobs created in the American economy were created by companies under 20 employees. So this job boom that we had in the U.S. is us. It's people that are on the show, people right now who are on Facebook Live. We're the ones who have been hiring. And now we're the ones kind of taking it in the neck here on the pandemic. So hopefully we can get out of this and start putting people back to work.
There you go.
I agree. Can I ask another question?
Well, I guess so.
I'm just curious that fearless again, own your dreams, what that means to everybody that we have on the panel right now. Fearless again, own your dreams. Here we are in America. Are we coming off the end of a pandemic? I don't know. I know we've been going through some stuff, but we're in the last quarter of 2021. What does fearless again, own your dreams mean?
Well, owning your dream is about, I believe, taking responsibility, taking accountability for your life and for your dream. There will always be challenges. There will always be things that don't work out the way we want it to. There will always be times where we have to start over. However, if we decide that it's for us and we walk by faith and say, I'm going to jump and I'm going to build my wings on the way down, you'll start owning your dreams. And it's amazing that that is the title, because I launched an event this week every Wednesday, and it's called Cut the Cord. And my very first show this past Wednesday, the title was Own Your Dream. So I like that, and to me, the fearless again part is you're not worried about fear. You're going to run.
I wonder how many entrepreneurs have lost their dream over these last several months. Is that possible?
Well, they lost the vision. The dream probably is still there. They just don't see it anymore. And that's because they're worried about all kind of things. And some people want to have it right before they go. See, entrepreneurs are not worried about having it right. They're just having it. Let's just go. We'll get it right on the way. But I love it. Fearless again, own your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what Cedric said is so true, because Cedric is really the one who pushed me out. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Because I still have a full-time job, and, I want to, build a legacy. And he would always ask me, so, well, what's stopping you? Why can't you? And all those questions, I'm like, well, I don't know. He don't want to hear that. He don't want to hear any excuses. No, you just jump. Your wings will start building. And that's exactly what I did. And even during this pandemic, I found ways to innovative ways to, have my voice out there and keep my business going. I started writing books. In March, I had no book. What? Today, I have 5, and 4 are bestsellers, and I'm working on 3 more. So there's things that you can still be doing. Yeah. And so when people give up, it really saddens me, because I'm like, no, you get up, start listening to us. You'll get up. That
reminds me of what is it? The mother eagle will start taking all the softness out of the nest, and then just kind of push the babies off and look at. And doesn't that eagle really represent America? Right, literally.
Yes,
take the softness out and jump.
Yes,
time to get out.
That makes me think about there's an Eric Ries quote. I really just looked it up, literally. And it's the idea that a pivot is a change in strategy, but not a change in vision. And when you think about where we are globally today, right now, you have a lot of us small business owners who might have taken a hit. They might have taken that knock. And it does, even more so than the trepidation that you normally get just from the day-to-day of being an entrepreneur, it does take a little bit of the starch out of you. So I could see that idea of being fearless again, because it does take a certain amount of gumption to just jump in and say that you are going to proceed, even though you might be afraid. It's not the absence of fear that we're talking about there. And just owning your dream and saying, okay, this might not have changed, but maybe I do need a change in strategy. Maybe I do need to find another direction to get where I'm going and proceed.
That's juicy right there. And I was talking to another client this morning, and what I find is it's a fear of success that shows up a lot more, I think, than a fear of failure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Napoleon Hill says it in the book Think and Grow Rich, under chapter 2 on the desire. It says, any person that wins an undertaking must be willing to burn his ships or cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can they maintain a mindset known as a burning desire to win. And what he's saying is your mind has to be closed so tightly against failure and against naysayers. And it has to be an all-encompassing, pulsating desire to win. And when you get that desire, it doesn't matter what mama says or what daddy says or big mama says or Uncle Willie, right? We love all those people, but they may not be willing to sign off on our dream. And so many people quit and give up on their dream because somebody in the family said, no, that's not good for you.
Well, they sign off on it in a way where they're writing it off,
Right.
I think. And we can't have that. We
Right.
can't have that. We're having lively conversations, but we're also welcoming in David the Savage and Raj Kapoor. We're at the top of the hour for our second hour. We'll be bringing in more on-air talent. If any of our early on-air talent have other engagements and would like to give a final not hurrah, a final farewell, a fond adieu, or Bill, if you want to do some kind of a transition, and then we'll be heading into our next hour with our team. We were just talking about fearless again, own your dreams, and just having a little brilliant conversation with our on-air talent. I'm going to say it was brilliant because I really enjoyed it on that theme of today, fearless again, own your dreams. David and Raj, it'll probably come up again, so start thinking about it.
All I would add is that for the people that can stay, please do, because we're now going to talk with Raj and David. And if you've got to go someplace, I understand you're busy. You've got a tight schedule, just like the rest of us. So if you're going, closing thoughts, if you're staying, let's welcome Raj and David aboard.
Sure. And I do have to run. We're down here in the South. We are getting ready for this storm, and I see it. Checking on folks in my home city that's going to be greatly impacted with this. But I will say this, Bill and Donna, thank you very much for the vision for IBGR Network. Thank you for inviting me to take part in this. I haven't met all the on-air talent in person. Hopefully one of these days we will get to meet in person, but for the time being, we'll take what we get virtually. And I, like Tracy as well, I do from time to time listen in to different shows. Thursdays at 4 p.m. Central Time, tune in to Talk Leadership with Cedric, where you can get some of that TLC as well. I will leave you with this. Every business needs momentum. You see, if you have momentum, nothing can stop you. Right now, here's what you can do to check to make sure that your business has momentum going, because momentum can also hurt you if you don't have it. Right now, here's the thing. What you need to do is you have to ask yourself these three questions. Where am I right now? All right. You need to understand that you have to be honest with yourself in your business. Then you have to ask yourself, where am I compared to 6 to 12 months ago? Am I moving forward, or am I standing still, or am I moving backwards? Right. The next question you have to ask yourself is, where am I compared to where I want to be 12 months from now? You see, now that's forward thinking. All leaders have to be forward thinking and have a vision. Right. But you have to understand where you are on the momentum scale. Now, I'm going to leave you. The way you can tell is if your people are bringing in creative and innovative ideas and you're profitable, you have momentum. If your profit sucks, be honest,
You said the S word.
And you're bringing in ones and twos in your business, you have no momentum and change course. So thank you guys very much again for having me. I love being on IBGR.network and love listening to your shows. I'm going to go and tune in on my phone while I'm checking in on my family with this. So you guys have a great rest of the day and a great week.
Send me a text. Let me know everything's okay with you. Okay.
I definitely will.
Thank you, Cedric. Have a great day. All right. So now let me talk about who we brought on. So now we have our crew here, under the remainder of the North American crew, because we did some on Monday and we just had a few people on. But we've got Raj Kapoor, and his show is Guidance to Wealth. And we have David Wilson, and that is the no nonsense market domination. And you know what? I love the concept of market domination. I get weird looks from people when I say that because I don't know what they're thinking, but it's like I want to dominate whatever market I'm in. So thanks for joining in. So since David, I'm picking on you first.
The savage.
Let's talk about your business and your passion. How do they come together for you?
So you want to know about my business, my business?
Yeah, that's radio show. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
David, hold on. Before we do that, let's just say goodbye to RJ and thank you so much.
Oh,
RJ,
are they going? I'm sorry.
RJ's got to do the mom thing because many of us wear many hats. And RJ, RJ, your show is tell again, when is your show?
Planning Out Loud radio show is on Tuesdays, 12 EST, or yeah, we're going with Eastern
Just
time.
Eastern time. Let's not do it.
Yeah.
Don't talk to Donna about time. We've had it all.
Yes, I'm sorry, Donna. I did not mean to trigger you about the time, but welcome, Raj and David. Thank you very much, guys. I will be in the chat because I'm going to do the mom thing. So,
all right, RJ.
All right, RJ. Thanks so much. Mm-hmm. And have a great weekend. And the Savage. Sorry to cut you off there, Sav. What you got?
Bring it, David.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So since 2006, here in Richmond, Virginia, USA, I've run a funding company called Fund You Up. We help small, mid-sized businesses get funding when traditional bank financing is not available. So typically that means there's a challenge with credit, a challenge with collateral, or a challenge with time, either time in business or time in which the funds are needed. So that has, I think, brought me here, where when I first started back in 1997, so I was directly out of college. I've always been in a business financial helping space. So doing something to help small, mid-sized businesses be better financially, getting funding, speeding up cash flow, attracting working capital, venture capital, and such. When I first started, I was pulled into an organization called BNI, Business Network International. That's where I got cut my teeth to meet people, network, connect, grow. Went to 3 businesses total. So this is my third that was BNI-able. As I met people, grew the businesses, networked, sold the businesses, and started this last one, the funding company in 2006. So the connection kind of has been that networking, that connecting along with the business side of it to land me here. Along the way, I took a lot of my experiences from networking, and I wrote a book called I Hate Networking Events. That comes up on my show pretty often. It's a blueprint on what to do before, during, and after your networking event of choice. I also developed a connection system. That's right. Yeah, that's right, Donna. A connection system called the No Rejection Connection. You can find that at thenорejectionconnection.com. And that helps you connect anyone to anyone, anywhere, for any reason, without the fear of rejection. So that's available, like I said, at the website that I gave you. All of that is my story that kind of brought me here.
I love listening to your stories. That's a lot of your show. And before I want to talk about your show in a minute, but before we do that, we have real entrepreneurs here as on-air talent who have businesses to run. And so we're going to be saying goodbye to Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley and to Cash the Bookkeeper. Thank you guys so much. You want to just mention one more time when your show is before you pop off? And every time we shed a tear for one to go, another comes back on. Welcome, Ralph Peterson. So Dr. Tracy and Cash, why don't you let us know one more time? When do we listen to you? When do we watch you? No, we don't watch. We listen.
My show is on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Team up and thrive.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Tracy.
Bye.
Bye. Cash.
Yeah, so real quick, I wanted to answer the question about being fearless again and owning your dream. So quote time again. I love quotes. So Zig Ziglar, one of my favorites, said, fear, F-E-A-R, has two meanings. You can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. And so as an entrepreneur, I feel like on a daily basis, multiple times a day probably, we face everything and we rise above it. So whether it's a small, miscommunication between team members to a huge pandemic that, collapses our entire system, one or the other, somewhere in between, we are going to face it and we're going to continue to rise. And I feel like that's what IBGR is all about. And that's why we are here as a support system to help all of the small business owners, help them all rise together. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity for me to actually come and speak on Mondays at noon. Again, I don't.
Kicking off our North American, the whole North American week starts with Cash the Bookkeeper.
Yeah. And we start with, the most fun thing ever.
Money.
Right. So looking forward to the new season and looking forward to being able to share as much as I can. But this lineup, I'm especially looking forward to listening to you guys as I go and have some lunch. I am hungry here.
Okay. Well, have a great weekend, Cash. Thanks so much for that. Everybody say bye to Cash, and we say welcome to Ralph and David. I'm going to come back to your story because I just love your show. I love all of our on-air talent, but there's something special about David's show I'm going to share with you that even my 19-year-old is like, what? But before we do that, let's get to know Raj. Raj, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we need to hear from Ralph, and then we are going to unload on David's secrets after that, the business savage. Raj, you are.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Bill, Ralph, David. It is a pleasure to be here. And I believe the summit, this is the last day today, and it has been going just amazing. If people haven't seen other sessions, I definitely would recommend them to go back and listen, because there is so much here that is coming in that's going to help you. And IBGR radio is bringing it to you. There's nothing like this out there, nothing at all. So to tell you about myself, because every one of the hosts is not only an expert, but have gone through all the cycles of businesses where they have failed, they have succeeded, and they have made it. And so you're learning from successes and failures. That's the thing. And so to talk about myself, my first brush with entrepreneurship was after I had come to United States in 1987, and I got my MBA degree. And at that time, I was like, oh, I'm all set for the business. I want to do this. I took a job, and with that, this entrepreneurial spirit was there, where I did find somebody who actually told me at that time that if I invested some money with him, we could become pretty rich like him, because he was a pretty big entrepreneur, had a huge house in Long Island, a Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, Cadillac. He has everything that I could dream of. And I had just started a job in a nonprofit, so I was making maybe somewhere in 20s or something at that time. So I took all my money on credit cards, $10,000, and gave it to him, and started a business, ladies' clothing dress business. Long story short, the guy was a swindler. By the time we ended up the business, after a year and a half, 2 years, I was over $50,000 in debt. And I believed that everything that I had learned, my honesty, integrity, had literally failed me. My brother was out of his corporate job, and I was going crazy at that time. And at that time, I said, I have an MBA. And what did I learn from the schooling? So the schooling is very different from what is there out in the real world. And I learned that the hard way. The option at that time I was given by my CPA was that you have to file for bankruptcy. There is no way you can go anywhere else. And then coming from there, started going into the real world, reading the books on money, starting with The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, and on and on and on and on. I realized where I had gone wrong. And at that time, I said, I'm not going to file for bankruptcy. And within 3 years of time, I was actually able to pay off all the debt and be debt-free. With that, I created a whole course of mine with my spreadsheets, because I am an accountant, and I was at that time working as an assistant controller. If I would have filed for bankruptcy at that time, later on I became a CFO. 30 years I was in nonprofits and other businesses as a CFO. Nobody would have trusted me with millions of dollars from government, working all that. So that hard failure taught me some solid, good lessons. And from that time onwards, I have always had business on the side, and I worked 30 years as a CFO. As a CFO, what I realized is that many people don't have the understanding of money, specifically people in small businesses and startups. And so my show is about startups, which we can talk a little bit later. But that is what my show is. I help small businesses, I help startups, because I have gone through that. Now, what I always say is that failures are what teaches us. But at some juncture, those failures have to stop. And successes are what keep us going. And one of the successes which really happened with me was an online business that we started on a shoestring as a startup, which generated over a few $1 million a year continuously for a few years in a row. And that gave really good understanding of the market, the business, and everything is changing now. So now I am actually helping small businesses. I'm also doing online course, which is called Guidance to Wealth, which is a 12-week course. And I take people on a path of understanding their mindset and what they know about money. And so quite a few things I'm working on. Just also wrote a chapter as an author on a book called The Successful Mind, which just came out this week, and that has become a #1 bestseller. So my chapter is again on the wealth mindset. So going into quite a few things, radio hosting is what I have been loving. It's been almost...
I remember those first, everybody gets those first time jitters, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
but
that's
what a
me.
great show.
So that's
What a
me.
great show. Yeah. Raj, on Mondays, right after Cash. So we got the back-to-backs. We got Cash leading off the North American segment at noon on Mondays with Money Matters, with Cash the bookkeeper. Like, she was born into that. How do you not Cash with a K, the bookkeeper? How do you not do that?
Yeah, one thing I want to say about Raj before we now turn the floor over to Ralph, and that is, we launched in what we call the South Asia market: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and it was Tuesday morning here, 2:00 in the morning. Who's on talking about the radio station?
And Raj is number 3, actually. It's me, Bill, and then Raj, as far as pushing the button goes. A lot of you don't know that, but Raj is he's the first one outside of Bill and I that came on. And so Raj, so thankful for you seeing the vision, believing in the vision, and hanging in 3 seasons. Can you believe this is our 3rd season? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And Ralph, we're going to you, because you know what? I quote you all the time after your last show. That backbone of the economy, that entrepreneurs, the backbone. It just rang so true to me, because I'm an NCO. You can take the soldier out of the army, you can't take the army out of the soldier. And we were the backbone of the army, and now I get to be a backbone again. So welcome to our live. Welcome to the station. You're one of our newer ones to join us in the operations track. Tell us, what do you got? What do you got on your show? What do you got going on in your life? Where are you coming in from? Tell us about you, Ralph.
Well, I think the most important thing to tell you, to give you a little bit of a background, is how much my dad hated working for anybody. That does not mean that my dad was good at anything, but he hated working for anybody. So I spent my entire childhood helping him establish one idea after another. He just simply wanted to make money on his own terms. And it was everything from, he built wooden sawhorses and cribs, to selling Amway, to picking up people's trash, to, you name it. He would do anything for money except work for somebody else for it. So I really embraced it at a young age. I started, my first company was called Collectibles for Kids when I was 15 years old. And I was selling baseball cards and football cards and going to malls and learning what it's like to be stolen from. That was the big lesson.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they would steal your cards, your high numbered cards. They'd distract you. And when you're 15, it's very easy to distract you. And I'd turn around and one of my, $30 cards was missing. It was a heartbreaking. But so I have always been, I've always had this super independent streak in me. And I was just actually talking about this on the show where Abraham Maslow was discussing the idea of the moving into the age where everybody is a thought leader. Everybody, it's a knowledge working environment where you learn a skill and you can take that skill anywhere. And I am a dangerous employee. Now, thank God I work for myself at this point, but I was the person who stuck behind, who read emails, who went through, and I worked for this company, and this is a big piece of advice I give everybody who says, how do I go out on my own? How do I hate the company I work for. I hate what I'm doing. There's something else I want to do. This is what I recommend. Do everything that nobody else wants to do. And it's the hard stuff. It's go collect money, go get paid on an account that hasn't been paid. Go have a difficult conversation with an owner or a client, a customer who wants you to change something and is not part of the contract. Be part of those conversations and learn that back of the office stuff, that stuff that's so terrible. It's paid me big, big money. And it's allowed me to get into my own company and go, I know how to do that. Okay. I got experience doing that. And it's so funny. I learned it. It's so funny where I learned it. And listening to Raj, it kind of reminded me. So there was a gentleman that I worked with who was from Brazil. And he came over as an illegal. Well, he didn't come over as an illegal. He came over with a green card, a temporary green card for 30 days. So he finds himself in the United States for more than a year. Of course, his green card had expired at that time. And it's a wonderful story where he was able to find a sponsor because he was just trying to find a sponsor, a work sponsor. A work sponsor can get you, this was in the late 80s, early 90s, could get you citizenship to the U.S. And his wife had a work visa in the U.S., so it's this whole thing. And because he was an illegal and because he had very low language skills, he would take any job at all. And he got his job working in a restaurant. And one of the worst parts of working in a restaurant, I've never worked in a restaurant, so I wouldn't have known this, but one job that everybody hates is making buffalo chicken tenders or chicken wings. Apparently, it is the worst job, where you have to bread it and the whole... For some reason, it's the worst job in the kitchen. And so he was the dishwasher. And he would volunteer every time he'd hear that order come up for one of those chicken wings or one of those buffalo wings. He would volunteer. I'll do it. And, he's washing his hands, changing his apron. And the cooks, of course, were like, do it. We'll give it to you. So how long do you think before he was cooking? Not long. Went from dishwasher with no language skills to cooking. And then he gets a job, and I'm going too long with this story, but he gets a job working at a car detailing place. And one of the guys he works with, he confides in and lets him know that he's an illegal. And he's looking for a sponsor, but he hasn't yet found one. So the guy he's working with tells the owner, hey, this guy's illegal. The guy goes, I'm sorry, you're a great worker, but I can't have you because you're illegal. So he gets fired from that job. Gets another job. That guy says, I'll sponsor you, gets his citizenship. He moves up the rank. And in 5 years, he goes back to that auto dealer, buys his first car, and guess who he watches detail it for him?
Oh, no.
Who turned him in. Is that the best entrepreneurial?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is understanding that it's not that you have to eat the worst thing in order to get ahead, but eating the worst thing is worth it. That's what do the hard stuff. And you can get right. Oh my God. I love that story. I love that guy. And
that's awesome. That's awesome.
You just heard my radio show. Well, I was
just going to say that because I wanted to introduce David and Ralph, because you two both have the personalities that your very first show, Ralph, you're like, man, I need some sound effects. And I'm like, you got to talk to David. And this is the David right here, the business savage. David, you and your show, I listened to it with my 19-year-old and he said, who is this guy? I've got to meet him. He absolutely loves your show, the sound effects that go along with it. And how your show is all about the stories, telling the stories in the journey. And we were talking about this earlier, that International Business Growth Radio Network, and you are listening to, it's not that here. The personalities you're hearing right, I mean, maybe Raj, but and Bill, the two top guys. But David, tell us a little bit about the theme of your show and where you're going this season, and why Business Savage. How'd you get that name? And I have so many questions for you, but just take a little riff and tell us a little bit about you and your show and what to expect.
The name Business Savage came before the radio show. The radio show, the juxtaposition of coming up with that name and the radio show were perfect, because the radio show gave life to that name. So it allowed me to kind of be who.
No nonsense market domination.
Yeah, it's a
complete with plays.
It allowed personality to kind of come out on the radio. So it was great. So you want to know what my show, what to expect?
Yeah. What can I expect as a listener this season from your show? Besides the sound effects, you got any of those sound effects right now?
They're not queued up yet. Yeah, they're not. Give me a second, maybe we can queue those up. Here's what I bring to the table. I bring to the table, as I mentioned in my show on Wednesday, and that was kind of the summary of what to expect during the season. I focus on three areas. The three big areas are the acronym MAP, MAP, so mindset, action, and plan. And we tie that into sales, into marketing, into connection. Excuse me. I use the method of storytelling, the method of sharing experiences, being funny, being entertaining. So I called that in the last show edutainment. To get to a point where small business owners can take action. So identifying whatever challenge is going on, identifying the concept, speaking to the concept, and I want business owners to have an action step when they leave every show. I don't claim to be in the details much. The beauty about IBGR is when you are likely to hear something in my show that resonates based on my experiences, and then you're going to take that and you'll be able to find someone in the network who is on the detail side of that and can really help you hone in on operations, on accounting, on sales process, sales force development, employee development, things like that. But I think like many business owners think, and that is, we put our heads down and we learn to delegate the things that we're not good at. We learn, like Raj said, we learn hard lessons the hard way. And then we're able to teach those around us that they don't have to learn them the hard way. Do this instead. And you don't have to go through what I went through. And I mean, I'm going into almost a.
So you're like a savage friend then, right? Is that
savage friend? We can do that. and I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give it to you how it is. I believe that everything we do is driven by that initial mindset. If that initial mindset is wrong, the actions we take will be wrong, because they feed from that mindset, and then the plan doesn't matter because it doesn't fit. So really crafting that mindset in the beginning and going from there. And
your show is on Wednesdays. Wednesdays at don't ask me for the time. 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Wednesday, 3 Eastern. Yeah, absolutely.
Every Wednesday. And it is so much fun to listen to, but it is also, I mean, there's nuggets there. David, you died 3 times.
I did, yes. So you want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did die 3 times. October 7th, 2017, which was 2 days ago, was my my 3rd rebirth day.
I was gonna say you look good for 2 days ago dying.
Yeah, thank you. I'm 3. I look good. I look pretty bad for 3, but but yeah. So I was running a Rugged Maniac obstacle course race on October 7th, 2017. Pretty routine for me. I finished the race, and after the race, long story short, I stopped breathing. I lost consciousness. My heart stopped, and I died right there on the ground. Fortunately for me, all of the people I needed were there. My wife was there with me. EMTs were there. So there were 3 EMTs standing above me, a guy, a lady, and my wife. My wife picked up her phone. The guy here started doing CPR. EMT ran to get the defibrillator. Other EMT ran to get the ambulance. And the other EMT got the, I believe it was adrenaline that they ended up shooting me with. And I was out for about 15 minutes, even with that almost immediate care that most people don't have that luxury to have that type of care that quickly. I mean, it was within seconds that they were able to administer that. When I came back, so that was number 1. I came back in the ambulance, and I opened my eyes and I could see just quick background. I have a background through high school and college in an emergency room, so I'm very familiar with that setting and ambulance, ER, docs, nurses, and vital signs and stuff like that. So I could see that I was in an ambulance, and because I'm looking out the back window, and I can now hear them calling out my name, David, are you with us? David, are you with us? And my response, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So
and that's just a kind of a testament to who you are, because you weave that into your show on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, Wednesday was the day. 3 years later. That's right. The other 2 times I came back in the cath lab when my doctor was putting the stents in. So I have 2 stents in my LAD. I had what's called a widowmaker heart attack. It's got a 94% mortality rate. So I'm very, very happy to be here. So that, and I guess that probably shows in my show, because I'm just going, and it's
off
fun.
the chain. It's off the chain.
and I'm just trying to help people.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. It's a powerful story, and it's just a small snippet of how David weaves the stories into his show. It really, I mean, you do a lot of that storytelling, but it always goes somewhere and has that completion to bring the point home, which I really, really love about your shows on. And that's Wednesday, talking a lot about marketing, sales, and service in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bringing that dream, market domination, the savage. Books. Bill, you don't have a book yet.
I had to unmute myself. I've written, I don't know, 8 or 9 books, but I haven't published them. And now I don't mean that as a joke. Is that I write technical papers and things of that nature. And so if I put them together, I have, I don't know, at least 7, maybe 8 books. In fact, the ebook is kind of maybe the first thing I've ever published. So I've written a lot, but it's more blog posts or technical journals. I wrote for a couple of national trade magazines here for the last couple of years. And so that's the type of authorship I've got. But I should write a book. I really should.
You should write a book. So we got Raj published. We got David published, and Ralph, you have one that's just launching out. Tell us a little bit about your book, and how does how does your newest book show up in your show? Can you weave that into kind of a little bit about your show? I'm sure it does. It's top of mind, right?
Yeah, well, this is my fourth book. On my third book on management. I wrote one autobiography, but this is my third book on management development, and it is all about how to be an effective manager and following the rules of management and what some of the pitfalls are. 2/3 of all first-time managers fail in the first 90 days. That's quite, to put an even bigger number on it, imagine this: 5 million people are promoted to a leadership role every year, and 3.3 million of them will fail in 90 days, inside of 90 days. And we don't promote the worst of us. We promote the best worker, the person we rely on the most, the person we're like, we wish we could duplicate you by 10. That person, we're going to put them in a leadership role, and in 90 days, we're going to have to terminate them. Or worse, we'll demote them, and I'm not even sure. Sometimes demotion is worse than a firing, unless you're the person being fired. Then it's probably pretty worse. But so this book is called The Good Manager: Being Great is Overrated. I have the copy. This is the cover. There's my little cape there. The Good Manager: Being Great is Overrated. And it's all about the rules of management and the golden rules of management, which are completely wrong. And the golden rules.
You're doing operations though on the station. So any connection there at all?
Yeah, well, so two things. Number one, a lot of people think that they are singular subjects, and they're not. If you don't know operations, you're not going to be able to understand the why as to why the why behind the operational decision. So management trainers, a lot of people think that the only thing a manager is to do is to direct people from one place to another. Well, I don't know if you've worked with people recently, but they don't accept because I said so. You have to make operational sense to them. As a matter of fact, the number one person you have to sell an operational move to is the manager. So the manager has to have business sense. If you're not teaching a manager about the business operations and on what it is we're trying to accomplish and why we're making this change or why we're doing this, it's going to be very hard. But I do speak an awful lot about management development, but I do it in the realm of management operations. Business operations, there is no manager without a business. And there's probably not much of a business without a manager. So
so you're
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Ralph, I absolutely agree with you. I've always told all the people that work for me, my managers, your number one job is to bring order out of the chaos. Every day is chaos in a business. Your job is to go, put it all aside. Here is the thing we're going to focus in on. Not that that's not other stuff's not important. Don't worry about it. In other words, if I'm not worried about it, you don't be worried about it.
Yeah, I agree. A big thing that I'm always preaching is about management intent. And management intent changes every day, and it changes every day with a bunch of things: customer expectations. It could be supply chain problems. It could be staffing problems where I don't have as many staff as I wanted. It could be a machine broken down. So the management intent is what every day. And then the manager's job is to figure out how to get that done, right? Like you're going to weave through all that chaos, the call outs, the equipment breaking down. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, when it comes to operations, you got to go, did it work? How do you know it worked? Did it not work?
That's the operations piece.
What can we do to fix it next time? You know, I would love 100% on everything, but man, if you give me 80% of the job gets done today, I'm more happy than you could ever know. It's challenging.
I love it. I love it.
We've been living with trying to get 70% done this week.
You know what? Some days I'm good with 60.
All right, we got the operations guys talking. I'm going to reel it back in again because we got about what 12. Don't let me do time. But we got a little bit of time left to this show, and I want to revisit. We did the theme today of today's show: fearless again, own your dreams. We had a great discussion with our panel in the first hour, and I want to bring that up again now. And I'm going to go over to Raj because he's been quietly waiting patiently for the mic to get turned on again. And I want it to be a sort of an open discussion. But when we talk about fearless again, own your dreams, one of the things that came up in the last one, it had reminded me from the conversations that we're talking of the mother eagle And when it's time for the baby eagles to come out of the nest, she starts pulling all of the comfortable stuff out of the nest, and to the point where the babies don't want to be there anymore and they need to launch. And it just reminds me of that visual of comfort zone back into, but this in fearless again, own your dreams. Raj, what's that mean to you?
This is a beautiful concept. Fearless again, own your dream, because you can only own your dream if you're fearless. You would not be able to own your dream if you're living in fear. And I did that many years when I was living in fear, where it was, if I stepped out of this zone, what would happen to me? And that is one of the things I always teach in my session and everything, is to step out of that comfort zone, step out of that zone where you have that fear. Once you start facing the fear, only then the fear dissipates. That's the only way that the fear will dissipate. And the main thing that comes in here is accountability. Are you going to be accountable to yourself? Which becomes the most difficult thing. Just a quick example, a story, little bit. In 2014, I said I need to read or learn something every day. And I had tried it before, but it didn't sort of work every day because of the CFO job. And what I did was I made it public. I said, every day I'm going to do something or read something, and then I'm going to blog it. I created a website even called Experiments with Success. And by the end of the year, I had read or learned something every single day. And I blogged over 100 times on there. Best part was that is the year that completely changed my life, being a CFO behind the desk, which was a comfortable, good job, paying me great money, don't get me wrong. But there was more in me that wanted to come out. And that year, things started happening. I joined the John Maxwell team, and many other people just came in my life that things started changing. And now, last year, working as a CFO, making really great money, I left my job and fully went into my entrepreneurship and doing it. All my friends and everybody said, Raj, we never expected you to leave such a cushy job and do this. My thing was, if I'm not going to do this and face
I'm
the
going
fear.
to put a shameless plug in here right now for our community of commerce, because when you talk about accountability, that's where you get it here at IBGR, on the IBGR network, because you get access to us, like not access to us. Ooh. No, you get that accountability to show up with the on-air talent and voice that dream and make that happen. And so there it is. I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Ralph?
No, you didn't. Absolutely. I just finished. I said that is what kept me going, and that is where I am. Has it been a tough journey? Yes. Has it been an interesting journey? Absolutely. Do I love it? Every single day. No question.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And anybody that's watching, you really seeing the personalities come out of the different on-air talent. Every show is different. You're going to get a lot of laughing with me. That's what I do. And Raj, the heart stories, you get David with the dun, and Ralph, you get something with you. Great quotes. Bill, always you get the science behind it all and all the numbers and statistics. And we're talking about fearless again, own your dreams. What does it mean to you? Fearless again, own your dreams.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to anybody that wants to talk back.
I got something that you know how you play that game where people are like, if you ever had a superpower, like what would it be? I'd want to fly, or whatever. I gotta tell you, forever, if I was able to have a superpower, it would be to be fearless. And I've said that like my whole life. I've said I just wish I was fearless, until one of my friends, when I was thinking about going out on my own and starting my own company a few years ago, and I have been thinking about it and talking about it ad nauseum. People are tired of listening to me talk about it, but I was super scared. I was just scared of not being successful and failing, and what would that look like? And I don't know if you know this, but when you work for an organization and you're a salaried employee, it's like being in jail, because you get sick every 2 weeks. You don't want to quit. You don't want to do it. You would do nothing to jeopardize, because whatever, I could have a good day, a bad day. On Friday, I'm still getting a direct deposit, right? Like, it just automatic, and it just takes away. It took away for a long time my ability to say, all right, you know what? I don't need that money. I'm going to go out on my own. My best friend in the world Devin, I'm having one of these, I don't know if I should. I don't know. He said the best thing. He goes, if you start your own company, you're not going to die, right? I go, no. He goes, that's the worst thing can happen. The worst thing can happen to you is die. That's not going to happen. Do everything that makes you even remotely happy then. And that was all I needed. That was the push I needed to go, you know what? December 25th is when I put in my notice on Christmas morning as a gift to myself. I was like, I'm putting in my notice. My boss was like, seriously? On Christmas? I go, I forgot that gift wasn't for you. It was for you.
Jelly of the Month Club.
So I really do know what it's like to be scared, and I know what it's like to be fearless. And man, is it so much more liberating on this side.
But do you know what it's like to own your dreams?
Yeah, it's super great.
Mm.
Super great.
I think the key is really, it's in the action and divorcing yourself from the result. So when we are able to, because we so often we're thinking about rejection. Well, if I do this, they're going to say no. If I do this, I'm going to fail. If I do this, it's not going to work out. If I do this, but all the while you're thinking about what bad can happen. We're not even thinking about what good can happen. And we get so focused on those bad results, we end up doing nothing. And there's no way you can own your dream if you take no action. There was a quote I came across. I really can't remember who said it, so I'll probably end up taking credit for it at some point. At
least you'll take credit. I'll just mangle it.
I'll blame Steve. And it's if what you just put out is perfect, you waited too long.
Yeah.
So whether it's a company, whether it's a book, whether it's an article, whether it's a call, a course, whatever. If
write that down.
Yeah, and if you
see how we learn from each other,
it'll come up. If what you just put out is perfect, you waited too long. And I think about that. I go back to I quote Seth Godin a lot. He's one of my favorites. I like how he writes. One of his concepts is start it and ship it. So when you have the idea, start it, but the goal is to get it shipped. Don't seek perfection, seek shipment. And the universe is going to tell you what it is. The universe is going to say, okay, you need to tweak this. Okay, this is terrible. Okay, this is awesome. But it doesn't.
I think we call that beta testing here. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. I see. Wait, what did you say? I'll wait. No, but just ship it. Just ship it, and something is going to happen. And as entrepreneurs, as business owners, when something happens, now we can go. So that's a lot of what I talk about on my show, and that's been my experience. I've had tons of failures in my life, in my personal life, business life, but you just get up and keep moving forward. Maybe I get that from wrestling. You control the controllables, and you just keep moving forward. You can't drive a car looking in the rearview mirror.
It's another one. There you go.
I think that one's mine. I'm pretty sure that one's mine.
Oh yeah. See, all this plus sound effects you get on David's show, plus sound effects. What's that, Raj?
I said that was a powerful one. I heard that long time ago when I was with a professor of mine, and we were taking small business forecasting. And this is the example he gave about forecasting. He said forecasting is you're driving your car looking in the rearview mirror and you are projecting what is ahead. So,
Raj, David made that up.
Wait a second.
You heard it here first.
See, this is mindset because when we talk about it, it is coming from the universe, right? So not one person has one idea. Those ideas are there for everyone. As we said,
I was only poking.
But you know what? One thing which You were talking about Ralph about the job and everything. One of the reasons when I was leaving my job, my mentor told me, and he said, Raj, what would it take for you to get rid of the golden handcuffs?
Golden handcuffs. That's what I had on.
Yeah, same here.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing exactly.
13 years.
Pushing and just to give you an example how these things work when you have just said about it, when I was in my job, I was so inclined towards the job that I left everything aside, including the family life, everything. And I landed in the hospital, and the doctor came and said, because he said, I have a heart problem, so always get scared when something happens. And he was like, is something going on in your life at this time? I said, why? He said, something is. He says, because exactly on this date last year, you were in the emergency room.
Wow.
And the truth is that was the time when new budgets were starting, because I was working with 20 plus budgets and all the things were happening at one time and I said, oh my God. So that fearless thing is now for me to handle, not somebody else putting that pressure on me. Big difference.
That's powerful. We've got some great quotes going around here too. And are there any other quotes that are keeping us moving in the direction, or that relate to the show, or that you want to share in the last few minutes before we turn it over to Bill to wrap us up? Because I'm a quote junkie. I write things down.
Okay, Donna, we'll get your pen for this one.
Oh, I got it.
I really did come up with. Okay, I don't know who your professor was, Raj, but you know, I I'm kidding. Okay, push-ups don't do themselves. So when it comes to taking action, so we a lot of times we know that the push-ups are going to help us, and we identify the actions that we need to take. So I know I need to do push-ups, but push-ups don't do themselves. So during the season, during a lot of my shows, I say that in speaking about action, the actions we need to take, there are things that we need to do every day, are push-ups, that kind of keep a quadrant 2, Stephen Covey, seven habits, that quadrant 2 stuff, the stuff that we do every day, that we need to do every day to keep the pipeline filled, to stay in front of our audience. We need to do that every day. So push-ups don't do themselves.
Push-ups don't do themselves. From the market savage, the business savage, no nonsense market domination, Wednesdays at 3 p.m.
3 o'clock.
3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, Raj. By the end of season 3, how would you sum it up in a sentence? What would I get? What will I get? Because I'll be listening.
For me, for the show,
from your show.
For my show, you're going to get on a startup all the aspects that you need to become a successful startup. The way my whole program goes is start to build a foundation. And I'm not going to go over all the names which I have. They're actually on the website, so you can see them. But it builds on the foundation with your mindset and then techniques. So we go with the why and then the what and hows of everything. And so by the end of the show, you will have a full knowledge of how to have a solid startup, not just one aspect, but all the pillars. And there are 4 of them, which you will know when you listen to my show.
That's enticing. I'll be listening. And that's again, that's at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays on the IBGR.network. Ralph, I'm going to be listening to your show all season. By the end, what am I going to know? What am I going to have?
This is all about operational effectiveness. So you're already in business, you're already running, and you're just trying to figure out how to get better, what to look at, how to measure, because if you're not measuring it, you're not sure how you're doing it. And we're just talking about who you're competing with, why people choose them, why aren't they choosing you, what your strengths are, your weaknesses are. It's all operations all day. Tuesdays at 2. It's the best show out there. I mean, from these guys.
And and my show on Fridays at 1 p.m. is for the startups, and it's called Love in the Journey, and we're taking that journey from pre-startup all the way to launching into the world. And there are steps and sequences that need to happen in order to set yourself up for success. So that is Fridays at 1 p.m. And if you like hearing me laugh, come on, we're going to have some fun on that one. And Bill, let's take it over to you. Tell us about your show and take this whole thing home. This wrapping up our week-long summit. Into the world we go with the IBGR network and Fearless Again, Own Your Dreams and all that. Bill, it's yours.
All right. Well, thank you. One of the advantages I have being the station director and running programming is I can have any show I want.
The
one I have is on Friday, and it's the show that would be playing right now, and it is Stage 3 Growth for the Entrepreneur. And what that means is that the business has grown to the point where you've proven that your idea is successful, and now you can see that there's a tremendous amount of growth potential for the business. And the challenge is you got to do things you don't do. It's called the founder trap. And this is the place where if you run into a business owner who's reasonably successful, but the business has never really grown over the last 10, 15 years, they're in the founder trap because they cannot get out of their own way. They cannot hire people in who might be smarter than they are and do the things that they can do. They got a fear of loss of control. And that's the area that I wanted, because this is why most small businesses never get as big as the owner wants it to be. I can't tell you how big you ought to be, but most of the ones that I've worked with over the years aren't happy where they are. They wish they were bigger, and they need to look in the mirror, because the reason they're not bigger is staring back at them. So that's my slot. That's why I've got it, and I've wrestled with it myself. So that's my slot. So that's what I do. And if I could have any show, that's the one I have.
And it's a great one to have. And you're a great person to listen to. I listen to you a lot too, Bill. I listen to everybody, and so should you. If you're listening to my voice, listen. Bill, I think we got to take it home, because I'm looking at 1:56, but that's the time we went live, and we went live.
No, we're at 5 minutes past. Let me close out, because we haven't talked about a few things that the people listening.
Take it home, Bill. Take it home.
All right. So everybody heard why we call this the Friday is Fearless Again, Own Your Dream. And that is, if I work backwards from what Roger's statement is, if you're going to own your dream, then let me pick up on what David and Ralph said, you got to be fearless. You've got to, in David's case, he almost died. And so suddenly, what are you afraid of? In Ralph's case, he quits on Christmas Day. I'm sure that made him popular with a lot of people. I remember going broke or close to it and winding up in a storage unit, sleeping there. And you know what? It can't get much worse than that, other than being dead. And so once that happens to you, you realize nothing out there can take you down. If you believe in yourself and your own abilities, this is what's possible. And so what I want to say to everybody is that there is nothing like us, this station, available out there. I don't care what the medium is, whether you're going visual or video or audio, live or podcasting, is that we truly are a radio station, but we're unlike all the others in that we're using the internet as a tower. All right. We're not an internet company. This is not live podcasting. This is live radio with incredibly talented people who are not talking about an academic subject. These are people who are talking about things that they have done, and they have probably done wrong. And if there's no better advice in the world that you can get, here's a list of things not to do. Okay. And the thing you got going for you is you can tune into this anytime, any place, because we run business programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we have a library of best practices, so that is without equal. So what I would say to you is stop Googling, stop using Microsoft Bing or Edge, whatever they're calling the damn thing now, Yahoo. You want to know something about starting a company, growing a company, or exiting a company, you come to our website, IBGR.network, IBGR.network. On every page, there is a search bar that says New Business Search or the New Search for Business. I will guarantee you will get better, higher quality hits if you search our database. We have over 1,100 1,100 pages of show notes. 1,100 pages of show notes from the talent that you see here and the talent you've seen all week. I mean, we've had some incredible people on here. I'm blown away by the people that are here. They definitely make me better. And so if you visit our website and you access that search engine, you will get the type of information that you're really looking for, because it's not clickbait. Let's face it, our website, just like your website, just like everybody's website, is clickbait because everybody's trying to get search engine optimization. You come into our search engine in there, we're not doing that. You need to know something about starting, growing, or getting out of the business, you'll find it there. And the other thing to say to you, and then Donna, and we've all talked about it, is come into our community of commerce. If you go to the homepage, IBGR.network, you'll see Join Us. That community of commerce is what a chamber of commerce should have been, isn't, and never will be. Their agenda, they're good people, but their agenda is not you. That's our agenda. You come in the inside, not only can you access everything that we have, which you can't do as just a listener, but also you can build a relationship. You can follow the people that are on the station. We got 35 people that are incredible, where you could build a relationship with, and if you got a question, you're going to get it answered, okay? So what I want to say here is for the, I guess my last thoughts on this is I want to thank the performance and talent at CKH, especially we've had Ovia Hassan, who's been with us for all 5 days. He's done an incredible job in technology, and they have been a partner for our station launch. In fact, the founder and chief executive, Kamrul Hassan, is also a member of the station, and he's in our South Asia broadcast team. And he could be heard every Thursday between 12:30 and 1:30 on India Standard Time. Now, that's 3 to 4 in the morning here, I know, because I've been his studio engineer. But the talent here is just unbelievable, okay? So for the executive team here at the network, thanks for attending. Make sure that you tune in 24/7. You're going to find what you want, okay? And so the last thing I'm going to say to close out, you wanted a quote. This is mine, David. Okay, you ready? Never trust, believe, or act on advice from people without skin in the game. Why? Because you have all the risk, they have none. That's it. Got it, Donna.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate y'all joining in today. Let's continue the conversation at IBGR.network in the community of commerce. I'll see you there. That's all we got. Thank you, everyone. See you on air. Much love.
Thank you.
Bye.